Alright, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to be covering what is the best Vanguard SMG after the most recent patch. We're going to be breaking down those new recoil changes because it did affect these guns a lot. The Type 100 was not listed, which you guys can see on the screen, but the recoil was actually massively improved from pre-patch to post-patch. So definitely a good improvement for the Type 100. We're going to be covering everything you guys need to know in today's video, covering everything. We have the new recoil. We have everything as far as the accuracy stats, all the mobility stats now with reload times and real ADS speeds. And then we obviously have the overall range, velocity, and then the most important stat, the time to kill and up to those ranges. If you guys enjoy any part of the video that's about, please leave a like, comment down below what is your favorite Vanguard SMG. And if you guys are new to the channel, you enjoy the in-depth content like this, you want to see every video I post, hit the subscribe button down below. Let's jump right into it. So what you guys can see on the screen first, this is obviously going to be the simple changes. The Owen, PPSH, Sten, then it shows the MP40 and the M1912 all had a recoil adjustment. They don't claim what recoil adjustments are, but we're going to cover what actually changed. As far as what actually changed, the Owen got more vertical recoil. The PPSH got more vertical recoil and more horizontal. So previously it would just pull straight up, now it pulls to the right. The Sten got worse recoil, previously had none, now has the worst recoil. So the Sten got nerfed very hard. The M19 got recoil changed, now just is a little bit tighter and more vertical, which is an improvement in my opinion. The MP40 got more vertical recoil, and the Type 100 was not listed in the patch notes. The recoil previously pulled up to the left, now it just goes purely vertical. So the Type 100 is the only gun that actually got a buff here. So as far as the actual recoils, we're going to showcase them on the screen right now for you guys. So on the screen, you guys will be able to see on the bottom, this is post-patch. On the top is pre-patch. The Type 100, you guys can see pulled up into the left, and now it just purely goes vertical. They did improve the spread of it, and now it goes up and slightly to the right. You guys can see the Sten had no recoil. Now is like a very weird horizontal in there, and then pulls hard and up to the left and like straight left. The PPSH obviously has a lot more vertical recoil. In my opinion, it's probably a little bit worse than pre-patch. Obviously, the Owen has way more vertical recoil. Then on the far right, we do have the MP40 on the bottom and the M19 backwards. So the MP40 on the bottom right is post-patch. On the top is pre-patch. Basically got slightly more vertical recoil, still the exact same recoil pattern. Then obviously the M1928, you guys can see this is with the same amount of 30 bullets. So top and bottom both is 30 rounds with the gun. You guys can see the M19 has a lot more vertical recoil, probably double if not triple the vertical recoil, which is obviously a massive nerf. But like I said, the big factor recoil wise, the Type 100 definitely got a massive buff. What I also did want to start including a lot of my things is covering everything. So you guys will quickly watch the video on the screen. We do have the new idle sway. Idle sway is something that definitely has a big factor. There's a lot of attachments that improve aiming stability in the stock category. You do have the idle sway of all 6 guns on the screen, or the 5 guns. And you guys can see the M19 is pretty bad. A couple of the guns have basically none, which I think was the MP40 and the Type 100. And now you guys will see the hip fire spreads on the screen. Obviously, a couple of the standouts we have here. Number 1 is the Sten. And then I think the Type 100 and the M19 were all pretty good. This is the actual box, so obviously the bigger the lines, the farther spread it is, the worse it is, the closer it is, the better it is. So Sten, Type 100, excellent mobility, which can help them obviously from the hipfire, which improves their recoil. And the only gun that was really not as good was the MP40 and hipfire. So MP40 is kind of a close range, but more of a mid-range. You can build all these guns to have better recoil or better hipfire, so that's kind of where we're comparing all of these. And all these recoil tests were with a full set of 10 attachments for each gun. So we're going to take a look at next is going to be the overall mobility, now that I do have the real ADS speeds and reload times that I did not have in the previous video. Alright, so you guys can now see we have the movement, ADS speed, the strafe speed, and the reload speed. I did not have this in my previous video. Now this is included with the ammo. So movement wise, obviously like I said previously, the Sten is godly. Mobility wise is top tier up there with the MAC-10 and OTS. As far as the ADS, you guys can see they're all pretty okay with the Type 100 on the low end, and then MP40 on the high end. Movement speed wise, the PPSH and the M19, anything below 95% is pretty slow. and anything from like 95 to 98 is average. So the M19 and PPSH are on the low end, and the ADS is below average, if not average, and straight speed below average, if not average. And the M19 has an absolutely atrocious reload time. So as far as the actual factors, pretty much all these guns are average, if not they suck in one category. The one factor for me that I just tested was the reload speed. So we have the actual reload time in seconds to the ammo. So the PPSH has the fastest reload time. So you will reload 71 bullets in 1.9 seconds compared to the 2.6 seconds it takes to reload 30 bullets of the Type 100. So the actual number you're reloading per second, 25 is average. Anything above 30 is amazing. So the PPSH is probably one of the fastest reloading guns in Warzone. The MP40 is also very good. And then the M1912 and the Type 100 are absolutely atrocious. And then the Sten is average. So the biggest standouts here for mobility is the PPSH is godly in reload, terrible in movement. The MP40 has a fast reload and a fast ADS than average. So MP40 is probably a top tier mobility weapon out of these five with the Sten. Besides that, the Type 100 definitely, in my opinion, I had it ranked pretty high previously. With these two stats coming out of the terrible ADS and then the terrible reload, definitely going to lower the gun, in my opinion, as far as the overall ability to use it in Warzone. Alright, so what we're going to take a look at before we cover the time to kill is the range and the velocity of these guns. Now with 3 different weapons being used, the velocity, in my opinion, does matter. And obviously the range is very important. So anything in green is good, yellow is average, red is bad. With the PPSH, we are running a different class setup to improve the range. With 18.5 meters, you still have the worst range of every gun in Warzone. I think the OTS is a little bit better, or the MP5 is by like 1 meter. So the PPSH is with those worst range weapons. That second range being 5.5 meters is atrocious. So your TTK at 18.5 meters is already dropped off to its third range, which is absolutely terrible. The M19 was nerfed to get a lower base range, which is low tier, but 16.5 meters of your second range is extremely long, and obviously goes all the way to 28 meters, which is equal to the Sten and MP40. So technically it's top tier range. Anything above like 22 meters is in the top tier. I think the best weapon previously was the LC-10 that would do like 24 meters. So to get 28 meters of where your second range is still going is godly. So obviously the Sten, MP40, 15 meters of base range is average, but 13 in the second one is very good. And then the Type 100 at 20 meters of base range is godly, and 18 more meters of second range is obviously once again godly. So this is the best range weapon in the game, and in my opinion that 100% helps it because range is godly. So bullet velocity is very simple. The PPSH is the only gun because it does have the barrel, which improves our range and velocity, so it's technically average. Every other gun is below average. So for that of the Type 100 to get a below average velocity with the best range, they're kind of counterproductive to where you're going to be able to get those mid-range fights where your bullet velocity might affect your TTK and definitely bring it down. So basically the thing is to take from this, Sten's godly, MP40 is godly. The Type 100 is obviously the best gun in the game. So we're going to take a look next is the overall TTK and up to what ranges, and then factor in those headshots to see which one of these is actually the fastest killing weapon. Alright, so what you guys will see on the screen now, this is going to be our base TTK chart of all 5 weapons and up to their ranges. The one absolute standout you will see here is that Type 100 in white. Anywhere beyond 15 meters is the fastest killing gun. You guys can see anywhere from 20 to almost 40 meters is once again either tied with the MP40 or the fastest killing gun. With the recoil improvement to this gun, I definitely think it's an excellent gun. TTK wise, I have it in my top 2 with the MP40. The MP40 you guys can see in red is tied for the fastest killing gun all the way up to 15 meters, and then from 20 to 28 meters is once again tied for the fastest killing gun. So out of your first 30 meters of range, the gun is going to be the fastest killing gun for 70% of that time. So 23 out of the first 30 meters is the fastest killing gun. So incredible for the MP40. That's probably why it's the best gun, in my opinion, the most popular SMG. TTK wise, the gun shreds, has good mobility, pretty much good across the board. So Type 100 is easily top 2 with MP40 as first. The PPSH did get nerfed The class that we are running, it does improve its range. You guys can see it there in blue. Is somewhere in the middle. I would definitely rank it in my top 3 as one of the fastest killing guns, just because it's pretty good. The one factor and why I think it's better than the M19 is the M19 has the least amount of base range. You guys can see in green drops off pretty hard. So I have that as 4th because it drops off early, and its TTK, even in that 2nd range, doesn't compete. So the PPSH will kill almost as fast, and then faster anywhere from 12 all the way to 18 meters, which is kind of where a majority of your fights are. So the one absolute standout in horrible category clearly is the Sten. They nerfed the recoil. I'm not sure why they didn't give a slight damage buff or a recoil buff, something to make this gun viable. It's absolutely the worst SMG besides the Owen. I haven't done too much testing on the Owen. I don't know how well it fits in the current meta, but the Sten out of these 5 guns is absolutely in a class of its own as the worst SMG. So MP40 is incredible. The Type 100 is incredible. The PPSH is pretty good, and the M19 is okay. So when you actually go through and then factor in your headshots, this is a massive factor for me, because this is where the Cooper Carbine and the Volk, I think, just got nerfed, where they lower the extremity bullets so it takes less headshots to kill. The one thing with headshots is you either need 1, 2, 3, or 4 a majority of the weapons. With one headshot only, your TTK lowers. You guys can see the chart on the screen. The Type 100 requires one headshot anywhere in the game, anywhere from 0 to 100 meters to lower its TTK. So from the base range 0 to 20, one headshot, you now have the fastest killing weapon. From 20 to 40 meters with one headshot, you now have the fastest killing weapon. So with headshots included, the Type 100, in my opinion, is in a class of its own of TTK. The 2 guns on the absolute negative, number 1 is the MP40. It's an incredibly fast killing weapon, but it requires 3, 4, and 3 headshots to lower TTK, which is pretty much impractical. The PPSH is also pretty terrible, 3, 2, and 3. Then the M19, it might have the least amount of base range, but it requires one headshot from that 12 to 28 meter mark, which is incredible. So it's pretty good in the mid-range, but with one headshot, your TTK lowers, which in my opinion definitely ranks it up there, and probably might overtake the PPSH as one of the fastest killing guns there in that mid-range. The one thing for me that just absolute standouts, number 1, is the M1912. One headshot from 12 to 28 meters, where it's kind of where the gun's not the best, improves it, so definitely helps it a lot. And then the Type 100, clearly one headshot anywhere, is incredible. So when you wrap up the TTK, absolutely no doubt in my mind, just TTK wise, the Type 100 is clearly the best. With one headshot, you're gonna have the fastest killing range anywhere from 0 to 40 meters with godly range and now new and improved recoil. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna read everything. I have everything written down to talk about where each individual gun ranks. Like I said, if you guys wanted the in-depth best class setups, we're going to cover that next. I have every timestamp on the bottom, so whatever you guys are looking for. But the first gun we have here is the Type 100. This is obviously what I think is the best class setup for the weapon. The obvious 2 massive negatives is, number 1, you get no barrel. The 374 barrel of 100% tank mobility, which we'll cover in just a minute. Then obviously there's no extended mag like the other guns have. We will go through and have to test all of these different ammo attachments, see which one's best. But I think this is the best weapon. What's good about it, obviously, number 1, has the best range, good accuracy, is an absolute headshot machine. With one headshot, there's your TTK. And with this vital perk, it does make your recoil worse, but you do get increased damage to the chest, which this actually lowers your TTK in both the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd ranges. So your damage profile gets increased, which actually lowers your TTK. So the numbers that I was previously giving, they're actually lower with this setup on this. So previously it was like 640. I'll show the numbers on the screen that I was referencing in the video, and this is with Vital. With Vital, all of your TTKs are improved, and in my opinion, that's why I have it number 1. This gun just absolutely shreds. The recoil has been improved, so it's definitely excellent. Obviously, the big negatives, number 1, you don't have a barrel or magazine, so you can't really improve your recoil or get more ammo. And then you have a absolutely atrocious reload speed, and then you have this lowest ADS with this class setup that's on here. So definitely a top tier weapon, but like I said, with the Vital perk is a must. And in my opinion, it basically makes it into a class of its own, to where no gun's gonna shred like this gun will. The MP40 is obviously second. This is the class setup. Obviously, I thought this had vital, but I guess not. This has brace. This gun is the fastest killing gun up to the 15 meters besides the Type 100. And then from 20 to 28 meters, it's also going to be the fastest killing weapon. It just is a shredding machine. It has really good recoil, decent mobility. It's just good across the board. The only negative, number one, is the headshots. The headshots are absolutely atrocious, which is a massive negative in my opinion. Then obviously the beyond 28 meters, if you're ever going to use your SMG at that range, the gun's an absolute pea shooter. But this is easily in my top 2. You could pick which one's better for you, but I think the Type 100 is probably the most underrated gun in the game. Definitely needs to get more use. Then we have the M1912. Like I said, what makes this gun excellent is that mid-range. The range in the middle is excellent, and it only requires one headshot to lower the TTK, which definitely makes it a top-tier weapon if you can get that one headshot. It's good across the board. It has good accuracy, like I said, with one headshot lower TTK, which is what makes it good in my opinion. The big negatives, number one, is the movement speed is absolutely atrocious, like LMG level. And then your reload was slow, and then it has the least amount of base range, which is obviously not the best. So definitely easy top 3 for me. And then we would have what would be the Sten and the PPSH. I unfortunately have the PPSH maxed out, but the barrel, level 69 barrel, is an absolute must. 20% more range. I do think this gun's overrated in every way. Has good reload. Has the most ammo and low recoil as far as it doesn't kick up much, kind of like the Kilo. But you have slow movement. Once again, like the MP40, terrible for headshots. And you have the least amount of range possible. So low range, low movement. It's just kind of like a tank of a weapon. And it's not going to kill as fast as any other gun. So definitely have that as 4th. Then obviously 5th place to be the Sten. This gun just doesn't kill people. And the recoil, they absolutely nerfed in the ground in my opinion. And then with the fact it doesn't have any good perks, all these other guns have a perk that helps improve them a lot. All this gun does have is steady, which obviously doesn't really help you much because the gun already is godly in the strafe speed. So that basically covers it. Like I said, I don't have the Owen listed on here because I once again don't have it leveled up, which I do apologize for. I plan on grinding the XXP to level all my guns. But kind of what I want to do next is to break down all those best class setups, kind of go through each individual attachment on all these guns. We're going to be looking at what are the most popular attachments people are running, and then breaking down whether those are actually good and what you should be changing, because a lot of these guns, I do think certain attachments are better that you aren't using. So let's take a look at that. All right, so we are on Vanguard, so you guys can kind of see how these numbers actually are affected as far as the actual data. Because I do think a lot of this does matter. So this also allows us to get every single attachment. For those of you guys who are trying to build the best overall class setup, we're obviously going to showcase every attachment, because I feel like what people are missing right now is they're missing a lot of the good attachments. Like on these guns, the last stock is godly. Some of them have the last barrel that's godly, and people just don't have the ability to unlock it. So on the screen, you guys will see we do have, let me showcase it. Oh, it's showing it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is the base MP40 class setup. You guys can see here, people using the barrel, the slate reflector, the padded stock, the strife underbarrel, the 9mm 64 mag lengthened fabric nervous steel quick, and the mercury silencer. So I'm gonna put that to the side so that way I can see what we're working with. That is the base class setup that everybody is using. All right, so this is the base class setup that everybody's pretty much using. The biggest factor here, the fabric grip. This is, in my opinion, the first thing we're going to take a look at. This does make your overall accuracy worse, which is the worst stat you can go for. You do improve your ADS and sprint to fire and your hip fire, which definitely helps for a close range weapon. But the fact that you are losing out on your overall accuracy, in my opinion, is a big factor. I probably would take the groove grip. This improves our strafe speed by 10% and 10% improvement to our horizontal recoil. Obviously, these might not factor as much in Warzone, but I've tested a lot of this. The groove grip is one of my favorite rear grips for sure. Either that or we're going to be running the stipple grip. The stipple grip helps the recoil recovery and our initial accuracy. So if we're going to go through and build what I think would be best, number one, I'd put stipple grip on there. Number two, I'd run brace. This is going to improve our initial accuracy 2 times. when you are stacking it with that padded stock, definitely going to help. You get +1 in recoil recovery also. In my opinion, that helps a lot. So with the wire grip versus the padded stock in my opinion is better because it doesn't lower your movement speed as much. You guys can see you're basically going to get better idle sway in exchange to you get better idle sway. I'd rather have better recoil in my opinion. So with the recoil control, the recoil recovery you get here +2, +1 initial, and then you get more recoil recovery here. Your overall recoil is going to improve the most in my opinion. The barrel is obviously going to stay the same. Ammo is going to stay the same. Ammo type, the kit, and the optic. The Mercury silencer here is going to lower your range by 10%. That's going to take you from 15 meters and 28 meters down to 13.5, and will be like 25.5. So your mid-range is still good, but it's going to lower your base range. And in my opinion, it's definitely probably the worst thing you can do. So with this silencer, you're going to get obviously no loss in range and improve your accuracy, which is probably the thing we're going for most. Accuracy is going to help your spread. And with the bloom, they kind of got rid of it. But so I'll run the M19 silencer, stipple grip with the brace and the padded stock, which I think the padded stock is still what people are using. Yes. So the difference we're switching here, we put the different silencer was stippled and braced. And then as far as the underbarrel, the real big negative with this gun was the hip fire. So with this one, you're getting +2 accuracy, plus idle sway, plus walking steadiness for sprint to fire. Sprint to fire might not be that big a deal for me. This right here is all personal preference. The hand stop is incredible in my opinion, but you're going to get worse hip fire, worse accuracy. I personally would probably run the Carver foregrip. You're going to get the worst ADS, but you're going to get improved hip fire. You're going to get a lot more vertical recoil, which this gun kind of really had none. And in my opinion, this is going to give it the best possible recoil to give you the best overall class setup. So that is what I would build for the MP40 in my opinion. This is going to give it the best recoil. So you still have a good gun up close, but in that mid-range, this gun's never going to miss. You're still going to be able to hit your shots up to the 15 meters and anywhere beyond 15 meters where this gun is best. So what people are building wrong, they're getting rid of the range, and they're running attachments that don't really help the gun. If you're building it for a more close range, like I said, you can swap out, put that grooved grip on instead of the stipple grip, which is going to improve your overall accuracy and your stray speed, which I definitely would probably recommend most. This right here, in my opinion, is an excellent setup. The silencer has got to go. In my opinion, with the difference with this gun, it has terrible range, and its accuracy is not the best. So by adding the stabilizer, you guys can see our range gets 20% improved over the Mercury, and we get better horizontal recoil. So this is a must. I think people are either running the stabilizer or the recoil booster if you want that increased fire rate, increased TTK. This takes you from 1132 to 1200, which might improve your TTK a little bit to help make it in the top tier. But I would personally put the stabilizer on there. It's going to improve your accuracy and your range. In exchange, you only get worse hip fire and worse sprint to fire. This doesn't affect much. That affects the gun as far as your ability to win close range gunfights. So improved recoil and range, this is going to make it top tier. The next biggest factor, 100% the barrel. The barrel for the PPSH, this right here does improve your fire rate up to 1132, which it definitely helps a lot. 20% improvement from the 952 is incredible. But with this barrel here, you can see your improvement is insane. You're going to get 20% more range, 40% better velocity, which takes it in its own category in velocity. And you get a massive improvement to your recoil, which definitely helps the gun. So the only loss with this attachment here is you are losing out on movement speed and hip fire. That's it. That's what you lose out on any good long barrel on any of the other weapons from previous CODs. So does not affect the gun. In my opinion, improves it absolutely into a class of its own and definitely makes it top tier when stacked with this one. The Carver foregrip, I would definitely still run. Your hip fire is getting tanked a lot. In my opinion, either the Carver foregrip or the Strife angled. With the Carver foregrip, you're going to get worse ADS, but in exchange, you get a lot more less vertical recoil. The tight grip gives you improved recoil during sustained fire is definitely a must. The folding stock gives you the +2 in initial accuracy and recoil recovery, which helps you recoil the most. And then when you do stack that with the stipple grip, your recoil recovery and initial accuracy again is improved. So the only negative here with this folding stock is you're losing out on the accuracy and recoil and sustained fire, which you're countering with the tight grips. So the biggest factor, everything here is excellent if this is the way you're putting your class setup. But you must run the 300mm barrel, which takes you all the way to level 69 to unlock, which is probably why you aren't using it. So if you are not using anything, don't run a barrel at all. These are going to 100% lower you. You can see even putting the rapid fire barrel in there, your recoil is going to go to absolute trash. Then as far as the grip, do not run the mercury silencer. It's going to lower your range to where it's already the worst. I definitely think the stabilizer or the recoil booster or the fast firing weapon, you want the best the fire rate to improve your TTK. So either the recoil booster or the stabilizer, and like I said, 300mm is a must. The next gun we have here, the M1928. So let's take a look and see what we are running on this bad boy. 28 has a low base range. I would obviously run the M1920 silencer. For me, the biggest factor in cover first, number one, is the barrel. So this here, I like how they have these stats because this kind of affects how people are looking in Warzone. The rapid fire barrel 100% helps, like no doubt. This gun is going to lower your headshot damage, which in my opinion, this gun doesn't have a big headshot factor. If it works in Warzone like it should work in this game, it gives you improved range, which helps a lot. The rapid fire barrel is going to give you 20% better fire rate, but in my opinion, your recoil is going to be so left to right, you cannot move it. With the cooling barrel, you get 100% improvement to the side to side, which is what I was using in my recoil pattern. So the cooling barrel is a must. Obviously, slate reflector. The carver foregrip is a must, in my opinion. If you don't like the carver foregrip, personally run the hand stop because it has no effect on your ADS. And then as far as the magazine, I don't run a mag at all. You can run the 100 round mag and the base ammo, but that's obviously going to tank your ADS and movement. Not much, but that's what I run. And then for the rear grip, obviously with the M1928, you want either the polymer, which gives you accuracy and recoil and sustained fire because it's a high fire rate, big ammo weapon, or you want the recoil recovery with initial recoil. In my opinion, this is probably best, just because I love stipple in this game. And as far as the stock, we obviously run the marksman stock. You can run the support if you want, but it lowers your ADS a lot, versus this gun doesn't. This gun improves your ADS, which is best for an SMG. So I personally run this because horizontal recoil, you're basically going to have none. This gun's going to be pretty much 100% accurate. For the proficiency, this right here is going to improve your, when you're firing for the close range, you're going to be able to strafe faster. Either that or sleight of hand. Like I said, this gun's horrible for reload, so probably sleight of hand, obviously with quicks. So the biggest factor on this gun, in my opinion, number one is the stock. Either the marksman or the support stock, because this gun has incredible recoil. If you run the cooling barrel. So if you are not running the cooling barrel, you run the rapid fire barrel. You definitely want to switch and put on this one, the support stock, because it's going to give you better recoil, better accuracy. And then you do obviously want still that initial accuracy with this gun. Either that or you're going to want to run the one that improves your recoil, which would be the pine tar. So if you run the rapid barrel, you want to run the pine tar grip with the support stock. If not, cooling barrel with stippled, and then the marksman stock. Those are basically the only two class ups I recommend. Obviously, that rapid fire barrel definitely going to improve the TTK. Definitely a good class setup, but the number one thing, avoid the mercury silencer on every SMG. So MP40 covered, M19 covered. Then we have the PPSH covered. Then we have the Sten. The Sten, in my opinion, the big absolute negative. Number one is it has the worst recoil now post-patch. This rapid fire barrel is going to improve your TTK massively. But in my opinion, the barrels are absolutely all atrocious. They don't help the weapon at all. So obviously, number one, when the silencer doesn't affect our range. Number two, we do have the carver foregrip, which improves our hip fire, which this gun has godly hip fire. Magazine, obviously 50 mag, lengthened. The kit is quick. With this one, the kind of big negative here doesn't really have that good of a proficiency, which I'm not a fan of. So I personally would just always run sleight of hand or steady. The steady is probably going to help you win more gunfights. With this gun having a godly strafe speed, this is going to improve your ADS firing move speed, which we are once again stacking with that groove grip. So the groove grip improves our strafe speed by 10% and our horizontal recoil, which is not the best on this weapon. The groove grip is a must. And in my opinion, you must use it because it improves your straight speed 10%, which makes this gun in a class of its own. And then with the stock, we are once again going to be running the custom. This improves our steadiness, which helps us track players better, and our straight speed by 20%. So this takes your straight speed into a godly category which no gun can touch it. If you did want to improve the recoil, which was the worst, obviously you're probably just going to run the padded stock. Simple. Either padded or the custom. If you're going for close range, you want the best straight speed, best mobility, close range, custom with the grooved grip, with the Carver foregrip. If you want a good accuracy weapon, we're going to swap that padded. In exchange, we're going to go with the stipple grip, which obviously improves our recoil recovery. And then obviously we have probably sleight of hand. Unfortunately, this gun does have no accuracy perk, which I'm not a fan of. But that's pretty much what I would run on every single weapon. I think we did miss the Type 100. Yes, the Type 100, the most important gun here. So the Type 100, in my opinion, the absolute worst thing you can do to this gun is use this barrel. The reason I want to show Vanguard, you're going to get an 8% slower movement speed. 8%. 25% slower ADS. This is with no attachments. With no attachments, your ADS is horrible, your straight speed's horrible, your movement speed's horrible. This is basically going to turn into an assault rifle, but in exchange, you're better off just using an assault rifle like the Cooper Carbine. So the barrel, 100% avoid. Absolutely no reason to use it. Obviously, you guys already know. Slate reflector, quick in the perk, the muzzle, M1912 silencer. You can either run the Mercury if you like the recoil control. This gun, I definitely think accuracy is what we're going to go for the most. I personally would probably run the Strife angled. This is going to improve our idle sway, our strafe speed, not our strafe speed, our aim walking steadiness, which helps our tracking, and our accuracy while only lowering our sprint to fire. The sprint to fire on a mid-range SMG is definitely not noticeable, but +2 in accuracy is going to help that spread to be much tighter. My opinion is definitely going to help. Magazine, unfortunately, we don't run anything. I had not yet tested these. I apologize. I plan on testing them as soon as possible after I make all these videos I'm working on. Obviously lengthened, so big factor. Strife angled on the Type 100. With the stock, we are running the T100 because this improves horizontal recoil again. ADS speed on this gun is horrible. This improves our ADS and horizontal recoil. This gun has a lot of good accuracy. With the proficiency, we are running Vital because Vital does have no magazine, doesn't affect it. It's going to give us improved critical hit area. This is tested with the recoil. You get a recoil reduction on Warzone, which doesn't show here. With the rear grip, obviously this gun has, in my opinion, some of the best recoil possible. A decent fast firing weapon. So you'd either be running, where is it? I forget what it's called. It's the polymer grip, which is accuracy and recoil and sustained fire, which helps a lot. Or the stippled grip, which is going to help your initial accuracy. For a gun that's a mid-range weapon, that initial accuracy is probably the most important for me because you want to hit all your shots in that mid-range, and the centering speed helps you with the firing while you're shooting. So the big factor of the Type 100, the big negative of it is you have no mag, no barrel. If you're in the barrel, your recoil is basically none, but your mobility is AR level, if not below AR level. So I don't recommend it. Like I said, 100% avoid that barrel. The only barrel you could switch on here with this class setup is that rapid fire barrel. That's going to absolutely lower your ADS. Your recoil is already godly, but you're going to get improved range, which this gun has the best range. So now you're going to go to 24 meters, and what are we going up to? 45 meters in the mid-range, and you get a faster fire rate. So let's do the data real quick so I can figure out the math on this. The way I don't mess around with you guys, so you can figure out, because I don't think I've ever tested with the rapid fire barrel. So right now, we are doing 30 damage with our fire rate of 750. So our TTK is 640 in the base range, and in the mid range is 800. So if we take that close range, and then we factor in the 200 more rounds per minute, TTK goes to 500. So with that rapid fire barrel, this is going to be the best close range SMG at 500 millisecond TTK, which I absolutely would 100% recommend. Your range is going to be all to 24 meters, 500 millisecond TTK. This does not affect your headshot damage. So with one headshot, you now have the ability to kill someone in 440 milliseconds. If my math is correct, 440 milliseconds. That's 25% faster than the MP40. In that mid-range, you're going to be killing in 630 milliseconds. If I did that correctly. Yeah, 630. One headshot. 567. You can kill faster anywhere from 24 to 45 meters with one headshot than any gun of the Vanguard section. So the rapid fire barrel is definitely a must. I definitely got to try it out. Like I said, I just saw this for the first time. I need to definitely test it, but that basically covers everything. I know it was a real long video. If you guys did enjoy, please leave a like. I try to cover everything for you guys. Like the video, subscribe if you're new. Hope you guys enjoyed. Call Trapgod on all your GFUEL purchases.